So we're going to talk about an artist.
Yep.
Which I think needs no introduction, but we're probably going to give one anyway.
Yes.
The man is called this David Jones.
David Jones.
AKA David Bowie.
David Bowie.
One of the most famous, iconic,
Influential.
brilliant, influential geniuses of the 20th century.
Popular music and rock music.
Rock music,
soul
artistry,
music,
soul music,
electronica,
film.
Yes, he's a pretty good actor.
I'd still say that underrates him.
Yes.
I think all the praise that's heaped on him is more than deserved.
Yes.
A consistently brilliant artist.
Yes.
And I think he has one of the best career runs of all time in terms of like in the 70s up until like the early 80s. I think he's got an amazing run.
He has one of the best streaks of all time.
The best streaks,
I think tied with Dylan in the 60s and Neil Young in the 70s with like 9 albums of greatness.
So if you've not listened to these albums, go out now and buy the following albums right now. So they have The Man Who Sold the World, Hunky Dory, The Rise and Fall of the Spiders from Mars, Ziggy Stardust of Spiders from Mars, Aladdin Sane, Diamond Dogs, Station to Station, Young Americans, Low, Heroes, Lodger,
Scary Monsters,
Super Freaks, and Let's Dance.
Yes.
All brilliant albums.
Yes.
Well, good to brilliant.
They range from good to being some of the best music of all time.
Yeah.
Yes. We're going to focus today. We'll probably return to the Bowie in the coming weeks, but on a small part of his discography.
So, like, what I think before we launch into an important thing with David Bowie is he is described as a musical chameleon.
Yep.
He's constantly changing shape. He's constantly changing musical styles. Even in the small period we're going to look at, there's a marked difference between the two albums we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
Famously, he dons different characters, and that's the excuse to change the music.
Yep.
So I guess we're going to look at his music in terms of like I'm guessing like these kind of chunk periods.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good way of looking at them.
Yeah, because you've got Berlin Trilogy, this that we'll be talking about,
The soul
albums. Yeah.
The early kind of the turn from heavy metal to folk music.
Yeah, well the prime years.
The prime years, yeah.
Yes.
And then
Wilderness years, because he wasn't known.
Wilderness
that's
years,
what they called the first ones.
And then the reconciliation of his. We need to find a better name for it, but the reconciliation years, where it's Scary Monsters is the perfect balance of commercial and experimental.
Yeah. The pop perfection years.
The pop perfection years.
Yes, but today we shall be talking about the Ziggy years, the Alien years.
The Alien years, probably the most famous of David Bowie's careers.
Yes.
His entire career. I mean, it's not the first time David Bowie had encountered space and aliens.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about it when we come to doing the Wilderness years, but obviously David Bowie's first big hit was Space Oddity.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Which is probably one of the most iconic songs of all time.
Yeah. Even though I don't think it's as good as like 100 other Bowie songs.
No, there's way better ones.
It's not. It's okay.
You know, it's very much of the time.
Yeah.
Written before the space race. Written before we landed on the moon. Recently recorded before we landed on the moon, and then it became popular after the moon.
Yeah.
After the moon landings. But so as a brief introduction, David Bowie gets to this point by way of The Man Who Sold the World, which is almost like an embryonic Spiders from Mars.
Yep.
And that album is it's surprising actually because it is really heavy. It's almost like a Black Sabbath album with like David Bowie lyrics.
Yeah.
And then he kind of goes the opposite way with Hunky Dory and goes more pastoral, more folky.
Yep.
And I suppose Ziggy Stardust is an attempt at combining the two together.
Yes. Well, Ziggy Stardust is glam rock.
Like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, musical chameleon. He mainly is known for being able to find the peak moment of like a musical trend. So, glam rock, which was popularised by bands like T-Rex.
Mark Bolan, yeah.
Mark Bolan was the main one. There were also
Roxy Music.
Sparks were one.
Yeah.
So that, and then he came along and made by far the best glam rock album.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than Roxy Music, it's probably the only, and probably maybe Electric Warrior by T-Rex. It's probably the only glam rock album that still endures.
Yeah, and famously with David Bowie, it wasn't just kind of the music that broke barriers. It was the persona.
Yes.
It was the kind of androgynous. You weren't too sure of his sexuality. You know, did you like guys, like girls? And that's really kind of what the whole album's about. Famously, David Bowie wanted a backing band, which was kind of like in complete contrast to him.
Yeah.
So David Bowie, he's a dandy. Like he was back in, he's this kind of like he's he's very flamboyant, androgynous. So for his backing band, he went to Hull.
Yeah.
Which has got a reputation to be one of the roughest cities in all of England.
Yeah.
All from Hull. And so he hired the Spiders from Mars, all from Hull, as almost like a contrast.
Yeah.
And while in Hull, of all places, he managed to find, in my opinion, one of the best classic rock guitarists of all time.
Mick Ronson.
Mick Ronson, that's it. Who gives some of the best solos, I think, of 70s rock music.
Yeah.
So Ziggy Stardust itself, they'll essentially, I think it was only a few weeks after recording Hunky Dory that he got together with his producing and said, look, I want to do this. It's a bit different to Hunky Dory, the song's about rocking, we're going to need a different sound. So David Bowie, his partners and friends in, his friends in crime and the now labelled Spiders from Mars gathered to record The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
Yes, a whimsical, ridiculous concept album about the end of the world is coming in 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
So Ziggy Stardust, who David Bowie has revealed is actually the messenger of a intergalactic message of love and peace and rock and roll, comes down to save the Earth. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not, the plot doesn't really matter.
No, you can it's a very loose concept which just ties the songs together. David Bowie in interviews of the 70s gave kind of more detailed explanations of actually what happens, kind of like song by song, what the entire plot of the album is, but ultimately I don't think it really matters.
Doesn't matter at all.
Because the music itself is brilliant.
Yes.
So it opens with one of my favourite openings to an album, just ever.
One of the most iconic.
Most iconic, yeah. 5 years, which David Bowie's taking a kind of first-person point of view look at like a street scene. Just as news comes over, we had 5 years left to crying. News had just come over, so David Bowie is essentially, he's not from the point of view, the point of view I think keeps on changing throughout the album.
Yes.
Like a lot of it isn't really told from Ziggy's point of view, a lot of it's told from spectator's point of view. So David Bowie sets the scene by having the narrator look at all the different people who are reacting to 5 years left to,
living and what they're doing,
so you got, I think, just some of the most brilliant descriptions. Name some of them.
Name some of them.
So some of the brilliant lyrics.
There's, what is it now? There's the one about, I saw you in an ice cream parlour.
Drinking milkshakes cold and long. Smiling and waving and looking so fine. Didn't think you would know that you were in this song.
Yeah.
And it was cold and it rained and I felt like an actor and a fart of mar. And I wanted to go back there. Your ace, your grace, the way that you talk. I kiss you, you're beautiful. I want you to talk. We got 5 years. It's just, I love it. I absolutely love it. I just think it gives an amazing vocal performance and it sets the scene perfectly.
Yeah.
You've got like the one where the cop knelt and kissed the feet of the priest and the queer threw up at the sight of that.
Yeah.
I just think it's brilliant.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, and the really kind of slow drum, like dun 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 dun, and then the acoustic just comes on. It's a perfectly staged song.
It is a perfect song, and in my opinion, the only problem with the album is that it only rarely ever reaches the heights of that.
Yeah.
Yes, a very small problem, obviously, when you're talking about something as perfect as that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then next you go into Soul Love.
So Love.
Yes.
A song I have no idea what it's about.
No, I got no idea. Soul love, the priest for ties your world and no. I think he's talking about nascent love, isn't it? Love is careless in its choosing.
What's that have to do with the end of the world?
Yeah, so start off with that, and then you go into kind of like.
It's the amazing. Oh, this is a great. Is it Moon Age Daydream next?
Yes. Yeah. I'm an alligator. Oh, I love that song.
That's got one of the best solos. The end one where it's like.
Far out. Freak out.
That has got one of the best outros of all time.
Yeah, yes. So good. It's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moon Age Daydream is just brilliant.
It is.
It's one I gush over. I can never get bored listening to it. Again, just the lyrics are just. David Bowie had a really interesting way of making lyrics back in those days, where he'd get pieces and he'd get phrases and he'd cut them all up.
Yeah, William Burroughs-esque, yeah.
Yeah, William Burroughs-esque, yeah. And he pieced them together randomly to create lyrics, and I think Moon Age Daydream is almost like a best example of it. You know, I'm a space invader, I'll be a rock and rolling bitch for you.
I'm an alligator.
Yeah, I'm an alligator. I'm a mama papa coming for you.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best example on it.
Yes. And then we launch into the breakout hit.
Starman. Which I think sounds like Somewhere Over a Rainbow.
Somewhere over the rainbow.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
From Wizard of Oz.
I've never seen Wizard of Oz.
Over a rainbow, there's a starman waiting in the sky.
A sped up version.
It's famously people say that it sounds like Somewhere Over a Rainbow, but you've not seen Wizard of Oz. So, and I always picture this as the song where obviously when Ziggy in the story first appears, he comes down from the sky. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. Famously, David Bowie performed this on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
Top of Pops was like a music show back in the 70s. It used to be really popular because it was the way that kids would hear like the hits for the first time, not have to like buy the singles or whatever. So a lot of like breakout artists could appear on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
Like the Smiths made it big, and that's how they got popular. And David Bowie, because of his performance on Top of the Pops, got huge because of it. But famously, there's a moment when they're singing Starman. He kind of puts his arms around Mick Ronson, and conservative 70s England was like, oh, or the older generation like, is he gay? But young teenage hippies loved it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that plays a big part in David Bowie's appeal.
Yeah.
His androgynous nature and his kind of, he's just bi basically. He's whatever. David Bowie is just David Bowie.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a radical, I guess, kind of radical at the time. But I love Starman.
Starman, I think, is one of his best. I think it's the best single other than Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So Starman's the one where David Bowie, where Ziggy comes to Earth, and it's just absolutely amazing. Everybody knows it now. It's got a brilliant chorus that anyone can sing along to.
A starman
exactly.
In the sky.
It's just absolutely amazing. A 10 out of 10 song, followed by, I believe, It Ain't Easy.
That's what I'm gonna get up now.
It Ain't Easy is the worst song
it's
on the album. It's the
worst song on the album, yeah.
Isn't this the cover one?
Yes, it is, yeah.
It's the only one that has no sort of relevance to the story at all.
If you climb to the top of the mountain.
Yes, It Ain't Easy is the only misstep I think on the album.
Yeah, I think so.
If the album, if it wasn't on there, it would still be it'd be a better album.
Yeah, and like it closes side in the old days. You would have closed side one, and don't you think Starman would have been such a better way to close side one?
When I picked on you. I'm assuming that David Bowie didn't have the power to not have a cover on at that point because he wasn't as big.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I could think of to include It Ain't Easy.
I mean, like it's mercifully short at 3 minutes, so it passes by fairly quickly. So after that, you got Lady Stardust, which I adore this song.
It is.
So it's this is the song which I think feeds in most to kind of David Bowie's bi kind of sexuality sensibilities. Basically, Lady Stardust is a song all about where everybody finds Ziggy Stardust sexually attractive, regardless of whether you're male, female, straight, bi, gay, whatever. Everybody loves Ziggy. When I first listened to the album, I thought Lady Stardust was like a whole other new character.
I always thought it was his wife.
No, yes, I thought as well, but no, if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually about how he's so androgynous and people find him attractive in different ways that somebody could see him as being Lady Stardust. You know what I mean?
What else was I going to say? Is this the one that has the amazing end where it goes, Ziggy played guitar?
No, that's the title track.
Alright.
So, like, this one opens like, people stare at the makeup on his face, laugh at his long hair.
Oh, the racist line now.
That's in the title track.
Oh, again, yeah.
Yeah, so people stared at makeup on his face, his animal grace, the boy in the bright blue jeans stepped on the stage, Lady Stardust sang songs of darkness and disgrace.
Oh, yeah, great song again.
It was alright.
What have we got next?
Star.
I'll
be a superstar.
Oh, that's a good song. That's a weaker track.
That's just one of the weaker ones.
Yes.
Then it's Hang On To Yourself, which I always really enjoy.
Hang on to yourself.
It's almost like proto-punk.
It is. Great song again.
Come on. I think, like, again, that one's probably about Ziggy just having sex with just everybody.
Yeah.
Just trying out everything.
And then the amazing title track.
Oh, the title track's so great.
Yeah.
As Ziggy played guitar, jamming good with Weird and Geely and the Spiders from Mars.
Yes. And the amazing line, screwed up hair and screwed up eyes, like a cat from
Like a
Japan.
cat from Japan.
What was he thinking?
that was definitely from the... At least Bowie could use that as like an excuse, like, oh, it was from the Corp lyrics.
Yeah.
It just sounded good.
Yeah.
He played it left hand but played it too far. Then came a special man, well loaded, Snow White tan.
Yes.
Where were the spiders? And it's got, I love the line, then we bitched about his band. I love the way he goes really high and then down low again.
Yeah. In fact, the end three songs of this are amazing.
Yeah, the last the run from Ziggy Stardust,
Suffragette City,
and then Rock and Roll Suicide. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Suffragette City is great.
They're one of the bitchiest songs ever.
Hey man, oh leave me alone. You
Yes.
know. Hey man.
It's a completely ridiculous. Is it? What's it about? A bunch of.
I think it's like maybe like fanatical fans following around.
Yeah.
So like he references Clockwork Orange as well. He's like, "Hey Drookies, you don't crash here."
Yeah.
Like, oh, I see what he did there. I think it's like fanatical fans following him around.
Yeah.
So at this point, the concept of the world ending is just completely probably forgotten about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then he reminds you of the final song, which I like to think of the final song as kind of when the world is everything's collapsing, everything's ending, everything's gone quiet, and the acoustic guitar comes in.
Time takes it as Ziggy dying for the world.
He could, yeah. But I like to think it all goes quiet, and like the world's kind of collapsing apart, and then like the acoustic guitar comes on, and he's like, time takes a cigarette, puts it in your mouth. Then you pull on a finger, then cigarette. The wall to wall is coming, it lingers, then you forget. Oh ho ho ho, you're a rock and roll suicide.
Yeah.
And the whole song is just. You can tell I've listened to this album a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of my all-time favourite albums.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's still Bowie's best, but we'll get on to that in a minute. So yes, Rock and Roll Suicide, a haunting, beautiful last song.
Oh no, love, you're not alone.
Do you think this is Bowie's best album? I do.
Talk about it now? Possibly.
Yes.
But like the thing is, I think with any of the 10 out of 10 ones, you could make
a point, yeah.
A point that is the best one. I think in terms of a consistent album, it's definitely his best overall album, I think.
No, I think I don't think it's his most consistent.
Oh,
it has terrible Hang On To Yourself and
Hang On To Yourself.
I was thinking of It Ain't Easy. Yeah,
it's okay.
Like some like Low or something. There's no bad songs on it. Or,
True.
Yeah. It's not. I think it's the point though where his public image and everything fit together so well. Yeah. This album is a big like cultural moment for a lot of people.
Oh yeah. It was an awakening moment for a lot of people and for music and
yes.
And because of it, David Bowie became a huge star.
Yes.
He became a massive international icon.
Mm-hmm.
This weird, bizarre, strange, sexually ambiguous figure just took kind of, and also like in the context of like especially Britain, when 3-day working weeks, the lights had to be shut off, all switched off at 6 o'clock. strikes, there was dustbin men not picking up trash. You know, it was dirty, it was smelly, and then to have like this, like I said, this kind of weird, sexually ambiguous, very camp figure coming off of this message of peace and love. You know, it's quite. You know, you look at the historical context, it's quite radical, I guess.
Tis indeed.
So props to Bowie.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 out. Easy.
Easy. One of the best, I would say the best glam rock album of all time.
Easily, I think.
Easily. And one of the best 70s albums that there is. One of the best classic rock albums there is.
One of the best British albums of all time.
I think that Bowie went more experimental, got more weird, got more challenging, but I think he never got one that was so perfect. In the way it just synced everything, not perfect in, again, track listing and everything.
Yeah.
But the way it was just like a perfect epochal moment, and the pop songs were the singles were the best, and it was more listenable. I don't think you ever got as good, as like conventionally great as this again.
Ziggy Stardust is like lightning in a bottle.
Yes.